What up, Brooklyn? This isn't Brooklyn. This is Screen Weens.
I love what you do.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, John Carpenter.
John Carpenter. I had to look it up because I was like,
he was a real guy.
I was like, they're not talking about like the John Carpenter. And then
just another guy named John Carpenter.
Yeah. John E. Carpenter.
Welcome everyone to Screen Weens. This is episode 153, I think. Because 150 was Star Wars. Prequels 151. Sequels 152. So there should be 153. Am I right? I'm right.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to be talking about two Paul Schrader movies that have Willem Dafoe. Mm-hmm. One of them, he's the main character. The second one, he's like one of the secondary characters. He's like
he's like basically like a second main character.
Yeah. But before that, it's been 2 weeks. Thomas had to do a dance party.
I did.
So we're going to talk about what's been up in our lives. Mm-hmm. Thomas, you've probably had so much time.
I've had a little time. I started lightly reading the beginning of the Dragon Ball manga because I was like dusting off some of those old volumes, and I was like, oh, it's been like 10 years since I first went through the anime, and that was my first anime, so I was like, go through a nostalgia trip for it. And I think I'm going to swap to the anime just because that's what I'm more nostalgic for. Mm-hmm. But I went and I saw the new Dragon Ball superhero movie.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
It was okay.
I thought it was okay. I almost really liked it, but there's some things in it where it's like, it really holds it back.
You know that one, the final fight with the big guy is kind of bad. But the fight before that, sick as fuck. Yeah, I really like that fight.
Yeah, I really wish that it wasn't afraid to just sit in a small-scale story. They're willing to do small-scale stories, but then they always have to ramp it up to, like, beyond Z power scaling, and it's just, like... I find that unnecessary. It's like, you don't need a strong bad guy. Just put them in a situation where their powers won't really be of much help.
Yeah.
But...
More Piccolo has to be a spy.
Yeah, no, like that kind of stuff. That was great. I loved that. And I liked his new form, but... Oh, shit. Spoiler.
His new form where he puts on glasses.
Yeah, he puts on
where he has his spy outfit.
He turns into a car because he has his driver's license. No, he never got his driver's license. But yeah, I thought it was pretty decent. I liked a lot of what it was trying to do, but it didn't quite land for me. But
that's fair.
I think it's one that I'll enjoy rewatching in the future. I don't think it'll be like when I sit down and watch the Dragon Ball movies, I don't think it'll be like a Resurrection F where I'm like, ugh, I don't want to watch this one.
That one's rough.
Yeah, that one's bad. This one's a lot more stomachable, and I'd say I like the majority of the movie. It's just like some weak points throughout that kind of like bring it down. But
that's fair.
Yeah, aside from that, not much else.
I've done a lot. I've watched a lot. Let's see. We've been watching She-Hulk because that's been coming out.
I've heard it's sexist. That's what all the thumbnails keep saying. I don't know. I haven't watched anything from the MCU in quite a...
There is a Megan Thee Stallion, famous rap artist, hip-hop artist. She is in the new episode.
Oh, really?
And in the post-credit scene, her and She-Hulk twerk together, and they, like, dance around. And it's, like, dumb. But it's like, everyone is blowing it out of proportion.
Yeah.
Like, people are like, if you don't like this, you don't like women dancing. And I'm like, Megan Thee Stallion, great. She's very attractive. She's cool. She's hot. The scene itself, kind of dumb. The CG's bad. I think the first episode's okay, but it's like been getting worse.
Yeah.
I know. Like,
makes sense.
I think the show in itself is... Like, the humor's there. I think it works pretty well. I like the casting. I just think the actual script, like, for the main story is ass. Like, the main stuff outside of the humor is just not there. But, like, it has charm to it. I do think that there are a lot of... there are a lot of like misogynists that are targeting it because like, what do you mean? And they do poke fun at that specific, like those people that are targeting it in the show. I think relatively effectively. Like it's fun, it's cute, but it's just like people that get all their like social commentary from the MCU, like seeing this stuff, it's like incredible to them. And I'm like, it's fine. Like it should exist. Like these like ideas should be in more mass appeal stuff, but they're still handled like you're talking to a 5-year-old. Like, so it's just like, it's fine. It's fine. We'll see how it goes as it goes on.
I'll watch it eventually, maybe. At this point, as the shows just keep piling up, I'm just like, I don't know if I want to do it, especially since like you've been kind of just middle of the road on a lot.
I like Hawkeye.
Yeah, Hawkeye's one of the ones I actually do really want to check out because it does seem kind of small scale. Yeah. So it's like, I like that kind of stuff. How was Moon Knight? I thought
Moon Knight was good. I thought Moon Knight was really good. I think it's probably the best of the shows. I think it's like understanding of people with like DID and like even like I think it doesn't portray Mark's like Judaism very well. Like there are issues I have with the show, but I think like structurally it's the best. I think the acting's like the best. I think the final episode has some like, devolve into a big CG mess, and it's CG for a TV show, so it's worse. But I still think it's probably the best show.
Okay.
But like, yeah, I think the shows have been getting mostly better, but then Miss Marvel disappointed me. But like WandaVision I thought was not very good. I thought Loki was ass. What If was fucking terrible.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
What If gets a second season?
Yeah.
It's just like, We haven't watched the new Lord of the Rings show yet, but the first 2 episodes are out. We might watch that tonight. I've heard it's decent. There was a scene that was put online that people like this garbage, and it's like a big CG fight, but everyone just keeps retweeting it and like talking about it because the person has motion smoothing on their TV, so they're just like, I wonder it looks fucking ass. You got motion smoothing.
Yeah.
And I follow Lee Wannell. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but the guy who did like Invisible Man and Upgrade, and he wrote like I think Saw, and he's done a bunch of stuff. Or he wrote Insidious, something like that. He was talking about like, I talked about like turn off motion smoothing, and so many people like were like, "What's motion smoothing?" It made me realize that like half the people that watch things on their television just are watching it in a extremely suboptimal format.
Yeah,
I do not understand how motion smoothing is like the default.
Yeah. TV
like
defaults
having it, that's fine because I get it. Like, putting on sports and stuff, that's cool. I'm like, okay, but watching TV, it's so bad. My TV doesn't have it, which is great, or it's not on by default. But like Pierre and Joe's TV, it does have it, and it looks so fucking bad. Because, like, the motion, like, especially with older movies, like, this just looks fake.
Yeah.
It actually looks like, I feel the same way when I'm drunk and watching something. It looks the exact same.
Yeah, no, a lot of those early HD TVs came with, like, that on, like, the default, and I always thought it was just the high definition. Like, is this what shit really looks like?
Yeah, like, this looks ass.
And I was like, I don't like this. But, yeah.
I watched in the theater this week. I went to work one of the days that I usually go to the theater, so I didn't watch everything. But I rewatched Spider-Man's back in theaters, and it's more fun stuff edition.
Which one?
The No Way Home.
Oh, okay.
They have like 11 more minutes of footage, so I rewatched that in theaters. Yeah, and I knew as soon as I rewatched it that I was not going to feel the same about it.
Yeah,
I don't think that it takes away from like the experience I had originally, because that experience was like 10 out of 10. But the movie itself is pretty rough.
No, I
have a feeling if I watch it again, I will no longer even like it. Because I still liked it this time, but it's ugly. That movie's fucking ugly.
Yeah, I feel like my main issue with it's in the writing department. I don't think the big Spider collaboration should have been the story to end this like character and these characters' journeys. It's way too muddled. Like there's too many villains,
and none of the villains like feel the characters that feel like they should have more to do, like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, because he didn't really get. He's kind of just like a joke. Yeah, like he has a couple, but even the like more somber moments with him are kind of played as a joke.
Yeah.
Doc Ock's thing just like doesn't fucking make sense. He's like, good, no, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Flint Marko, like, why the fuck is he in the final fight? Like, what?
Yeah, no, the whole...
Yeah, rewatching, like, what the fuck is going on? And in general, I think, like, the last, like, act is just kind of bad.
Mm-hmm.
There's, like, a couple fun, like, moments and, like, dialogue between the three Spider-Men, but
yeah,
I guess spoilers for this movie that every single person's seen.
So, while we're talking spoilers, I don't like the fact that, like, Aunt May dies, and then, like, we get one scene of him sat on a rooftop.
And he's like, don't worry, guys, it's Spider-Man. Yeah.
And then you you have, like, a brief little memorial scene at the end where he goes and visits her grave.
I also don't understand the idea of having Happy and her break up. And then he's just, like, miserable, and then she died. I'm like, this is really sad. Like, why would they do that to his character?
It's supposed to be, like, a dark joke. But
I'm just like, it doesn't fit with the tone of the, like, if it was all like that, if it was a black comedy, I get it, but it's a fucking Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like, let's be mean to Happy.
It's like, Happy, you guys respect Jon Favreau. He built this entire platform you're standing on. But he's off doing bigger and better things at Star Wars now. I don't know if he's still in. I'm sure he's probably still popping up in MCU shows here and there. I don't know. I haven't watched. But...
let's see what else I did. We rewatched Your Name. Mm-hmm. Really good movie.
Yeah, I really like that one. I read a little bit of the manga, and it actually, like, I read, like, the first volume, and it actually expands on a lot of stuff quite a bit. Like, I didn't realize how much stuff was being left out. So I think it's, like, a really good adaptation and being, like... Because, like, I don't watch that movie and be like, wow, there's shit missing from this story. Like, it's all done very cohesively and, like, very well. But, yeah, no, they dive, like, a lot more into his friendship with that one blonde kid.
Well, also, I'm pretty sure Your Name, the manga, came out after. Because it's written by Makoto Shinkai still. I'm pretty sure... He did that with Weathering for You, too. I'm pretty sure he made the movies and then expanded on it with the manga, and I think that's why.
That makes sense. I didn't know that.
But, well, let's see. First volume came out in 2017. Yeah, I think...
Yeah, that would make sense, because I'm pretty sure the movie was, like, 2017.
Yeah, they did a light novel, and then the manga.
Okay.
I guess he wrote... It's a novelization of the animated film. It came out like a month before the movie, but it's a novelization of the movie.
Yeah. No, I get you. It's the same way, like, Evangelion's manga technically came out before Neon Genesis Evangelion did, but it was, like, one chapter, and then the anime quickly surpassed it, and then it went on for, like, years after the anime had wrapped up. But, yeah.
I also watched... the new Full Metal Alchemist live-action movie.
Yeah, how was that?
It's just awful.
I
was surprised it existed because they made the live-action movie and they went to Netflix 5 years ago. And then it was bad.
I think I watched it, but I don't remember it.
It was bad. It wasn't like the worst thing ever, but it was pretty bad. And then I randomly was just like, there's a new fucking Full Metal Alchemist movie out? And it was a sequel to it 5 years later. Nobody asked for it. And it's a two-parter. Like, there's going to be another one.
Oh.
Like, soon. And I'm like, oh, okay. But it was really bad. But now I'm forced to watch the last one if I see two of the three. Yeah. And then I watched 3 movies in theaters. That week, I watched the new George Miller movie, 3,000 Years of Longing. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I really, really loved it. I watched Breaking, which is a new John Boyega movie based on a true story about a guy who's like robbing a bank. Kind of in a style of like Dog Day Afternoon or something like that.
I think I might have seen the trailer for that one.
I think John Boyega is so fucking good in that movie. Like, he's maybe one of his best roles. He's so good in it. I think the movie itself is kind of bad. It's okay. It's all right. They do a lot of things, like they constantly cut to outside of the bank. I think that's a bad idea. I think they should have just had it more restrained with just in, like, the confines. He's constantly talking to people on the phone. I think it would have been more interesting to, like, never see them and just see him talking to them and, like, hear them, but never see outside the walls. And there's just a lot of, like, directing, like, styles that I just wasn't really a fan of. And then I watched The Invitation, which is the new vampire fanfic movie.
I saw a trailer for that when I saw Dragon Ball, and I was like, wow, this looks like somebody really wanted to just make Get Out again. But it feels like a fan fiction, and that's why I kind of liked it. I thought it was very funny. Probably for the wrong reasons, but I enjoyed my time with it. I see what you mean.
I thought it was pretty endearing in a way.
A guilty pleasure.
Yeah. They knew what they were doing. So I'm like, it's fine. They knew what they were doing. They delivered on this stupid, like, kind of cheesy horror movie where this lady just wants to fuck a vampire. I get it. And then I went home and we watched The Wretched, which is just a random horror movie we found. Apparently, let me fact check this because Pierre told me it, but Pierre lies all the time. But it sounds like a real thing, so let me see. Yes, it became the first film since Avatar to top the box office for 6 consecutive weekends.
Wait.
But that's because it came out during COVID. So it was like the only thing out.
Yeah, I was like, there has to be a fluke to that.
Yeah,
I've not even heard of this movie.
It was okay. I kind of like the creature design in it. It's about like a skinwalker type thing where the wretched wears people's skin and stuff. It was interesting. I like the main character because he's kind of the worst. He's like, but he's like, I need to save my neighbor. It's a weird, like, he first finds out about this wretched because he sees his neighbor being attacked by it. He's like, I gotta save my neighbor. It's a weird premise, and one that I wasn't really expecting. So I'm like, this is fine.
Spoiler alert. Avatar 2's coming out soon.
It is.
I didn't realize there was already stuff out for it. I saw like a poster for it.
Did you watch it? Did you see the trailer?
No.
The trailer looks good. Like, it does look very pretty. Yeah.
Are they going to do a re-release of, like, the first one?
I don't know.
They should, because I never got a chance to see it. And it's like,
I would love, like, if they did double features. Like, I would see that as a double feature. I watched Samaritan, which is the new Sylvester Stallone superhero movie for Prime Video. It has a really dumb twist that I saw coming 5 seconds into the movie, pretty much. But overall, the movie was fine. It's dumb. It was about, like, aging superheroes and what it means to be a hero. Yeah. And I eat that shit up, so.
Yeah.
I watched Menace to Society for the first time, which is, like, a classic, apparently. It's very good. It's really sad. I don't know if you've seen that one.
I haven't seen Menace to Society, but I've seen the Weens brothers parody of it. So
okay, we finally watched the third Riddick movie, which I had not seen before. It's like Pitch Black 2. It feels very much like they redo a lot of stuff from Pitch Black. And I think Pitch Black, I really like the Chronicles of Riddick because it's this big, dumb, grandiose sci-fi epic. So, like, it was good, but I wanted more Chronicles style stuff. So I hope when they make that fourth one, it's more grandiose again. Almost done.
No, gesundheit.
Watched The Snow Queen, which is an old, like, Russian animated movie based on the Hans Christian Andersen movie. Miyazaki apparently was really influenced by the movie, so I wanted to watch it. It was fine. The American version has a prologue that's live action that's really, really bad. And then there's an animated prologue from the original release in the movie on it. So there's 2 prologues, and both are really bad. The movie itself is fine.
Yeah.
And then I watched Spider-Man. And then I watched a movie called Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul, which is in the theaters now. And it is with Sterling K. Brown and Regina Hall. And they own, like, a mega church. And he had a bunch of, like, scandals. And they're trying to reopen the mega church. And it's... I don't know what the fuck they wanted to do, because half of it is like a mockumentary style movie, like it's like filming it as if it's a documentary, and then they change the aspect ratio and it's no longer a mockumentary. I'm like, just what the either make it like a narrative drama or make it like a documentary style movie.
Yeah.
I think they really missed the ball with that, like, because I think the rest of it is like pretty good, and I think both of those like actors in it are great, but just another like problem with direction. Like, why did they do this?
Yeah. Interesting.
And it doesn't like
mark any significant change in the character or anything.
Yeah. No, it's just, but yeah. And yeah, that's what I watched. Yeah. Sorry, it was long. Then been busy at work. We had a big sale yesterday. It was very busy. Mm-hmm. We sold a bunch of discount board games. We sold like 700 or some shit. We sold so many. I bought a couple discount ones. I keep buying board games. It's too much. And they start making board game content. So be like, no, it's important that I buy board games because I'm making board game videos. But yeah. All right. Let's see if we have any questions.
Oh, man. Come on, Pierre. Send in those questions.
Yes. Question 1. Favorite bromance in media? That's easy. It's Bob Crane and John. Can we say London and Thomas from Screen Wings?
I mean, that is media. Let's see. I mean, obvious answer. Samwise and Frodo.
It's pretty good. Yeah. Gimli and Legolas.
There's
a lot in that movie.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings is kind of about that, so it's kind of about the romance.
Gollum and Frodo.
Yeah.
Gollum and Smeagol.
There we go.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, I feel bad calling it a bromance, but that's what I guess it eventually was. But Finn and Poe, that was just a romance.
Yeah, no, it should have been a romance. Disney didn't know what they were fucking doing.
Yeah. Qui-Gon and Jar Jar.
Yeah. Let's see. Superman and Batman.
Yeah. I do like their I don't like when they're fighting, but when they're like teaming up, I think they're fun.
Oh, yeah. No, they work very well together. They juxtapose each other very nicely.
Sanji and Zoro.
Sanji and Zoro, yeah.
I like bromances that are really angry at each other.
That's fair, yeah. There's that one movie, I think it's Filmsy. It might be Film Gold. But there's like a scene where they're both just like yelling at each other and they're like this far from kissing. And it's just like, you guys did that on purpose.
But yeah, I think there's some good ones.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Falcon and Bucky and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I know you haven't seen that yet, but they're fun together.
I'll assume it's a great romance until I actually get around to watching it. Which I think that one would be first up on my list because I would probably watch them in the order they came out.
WandaVision came out first.
Oh. Sorry, Bucky. And,
okay, question 2. The most average-looking protagonist. It's simple. It's Bob Crane from...
Shinji Ikari.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah,
for that like genre, not like mecha, but like schoolboy kind of.
Shinji's so. I think it might be Shinji. He has like nothing. Until he puts on the suit, especially, it's just like that's just a guy.
Yeah.
Like think about any other anime character, they got something about them.
Mm-hmm. Usually, sometimes not.
Yeah, I guess. I honestly might think it's Shinji.
Light Yagami is kind of generic. Kind of looks like a member of like a boy band.
Well, yeah, but he's got like the droopy, like dead eyes all the time.
Yeah. That is a feature. I mean, Shinji has the like,
I came in my hand.
Yeah, like I'm mortified because I'm kind of an awful person.
Classic.
Yeah.
Okay, question 3. Is Judy Hopps the best example of a character who learns to overcome their unconscious racism? No, that's the main character of Zootopia.
Oh,
have you seen Zootopia?
No, I still haven't.
Pierre, Here, you gotta remember, Thomas doesn't watch animated movies.
I particularly just don't go out of my way to watch, like, Disney animated movies, so it's like... Yeah. If they start doing anime, though, I'm there.
Have you watched Star Wars Visions yet?
No.
Okay.
Alright, once they do some more anime, I'm there.
Okay.
Yeah. Once they inevitably buy Goku. I don't know if that'll happen. Toei's like pretty big company. So
no, and I think that's maybe the worst question you've ever sent in. Cool. Glad you're here. Thanks for the questions, Pierre.
Wonderful, as always.
Let us talk about Light Sleeper from 1992, which is a semi-remake of a movie we have watched on the podcast. Thomas, can you guess what movie that is?
Hold on.
You did not like it.
I didn't like it.
We watched two movies in there. It's an old movie.
An old movie. I didn't like it.
You liked the other movie that we watched with it.
Was it an old episode we did, or was it relatively like...
It's an older episode. We had a guest on that episode. I don't remember who it was. I think it might have been Joe. It isn't necessarily like a straight remake of it, but a lot of the same themes are present. And this is also not the first, not the only time that Paul Schrader has remade the same movie.
I don't know. What is it?
Pickpocket.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, American Gigolo by Paul Schrader is also very, very similar to Pickpocket.
Yeah, maybe if I were I'd have to watch Pickpocket again, because, like, I remember the content of the movie, but I don't remember, like, the substance that it was going for. Like, what philosophies and thematic relevance it had, because I watched that a while ago, and yeah, I think there's one Robert Bresson movie I really liked that, like,
Man Escaped.
I think so, yeah.
I think we only watched the two. I think, it was just a double feature.
Okay, for some reason I thought it was a deep dive. Like, we watched more.
I've been thinking about picking more, because I really liked A Man Escape, and I really liked Pickpocket too. I know nobody else did.
I mean, I like it in concept. Maybe if I watched, that might be one that grows on me.
But yeah, we watched Pickpocket 2 with this. So, yeah, Paul Schrader. Paul Schrader's a weirdo, dude. Maybe not as much in this movie, but Jesus, the autofocus gets real weird.
Yeah, he really likes... You can tell he's got a certain kind of film that he likes to make, and that's films about really isolated kind of, like, creepazoids. In the different walks of life you will find them in.
He's also maybe, like, one of the most cynical directors I think we've watched.
Yeah,
like,
his movies are pretty harsh.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I like them. I think First Reformed isn't... I don't think you've seen it.
I haven't seen it.
I think that movie's fucking incredible.
I mean, I like Paul Schrader. I like Taxi Driver.
I like Taxi Driver, but I tend to really like his directing style. Mm-hmm. I think Dog Eat Dog is a bad movie, but I think a lot of his movies before Card Counter were really just muddled by studio interference. Mm-hmm. Because, I get it. Like, I wouldn't do it, but I get where they're like, no, this movie's a little too fucked up and weird. And he's like, no! It's not fucked up enough!
Yeah. I know maybe he has to have. Has he worked with Robert Pattinson? I feel like he'd be a prime casting in a Paul Schrader movie.
I don't think he has.
We need to get those two, together.
He did, the last movie he made was with Oscar Isaac. That was The Card Counter. And then the next movie he's making, I think it's called The Master Gardener, is Joel Edgerton, which I'm pretty excited for about that one. He worked with, there was a movie called Dying of the Light, I think it was called. Which is another one that's apparently really bad, but most of it is through studio interference. That had Nick Cage and Anton Yelchin. So I'll eventually watch that. But he himself put up on pirate websites, the version close to the version he wanted. He re-edited what he could, and it's more experimental and more dark. And it's called Dark, like his version of it. And apparently that version is really good.
Maybe we'll have to do a side by side.
Yeah, there are a couple things that I want to do, not like remake and original, but kind of like how we did with Justice League and Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yeah,
but with director's cuts or something.
Fun fact: apparently, some executives at Warner Brothers confessed that they thought that releasing the Snyder Cut was a mistake. Also, I heard something about maybe there was bots involved with creating the hashtag, so it's oh, cool.
I wasn't surprised. Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, even I could just go outside. I talked to a lot of people about that. I'm I've talked to a handful of people that cared enough.
Yeah, I always thought it was weird that online it seemed like everybody loved those movies, but then every time I talk to a real person, they're
I know people that really like those movies. But
I know some. Usually the argument was, well, it just felt like Batman, the real Batman in this movie. He's supposed to be dark and edgy, and he's got the best suit. And it's maybe the suit I'll grant.
I don't even really like the suit, but I don't have that big of an issue. But I fucking hate his characterization of the movie.
Yeah, I just
think it's boring.
Yeah, it's very generic. I think it's marginally better in the Snyder Cut, but I prefer the original.
But then you have to watch 2 more hours of movie. That's a bad movie.
No, if you force me to watch one version of the Justice League again, it's definitely going to be the theatrical cut
because I think it's worse.
It's worse.
It's way shorter.
It's way shorter. And also, I find it kind of fucking hilarious in all the ways that they did not intend it to be hilarious.
That's fair. I get it.
Ben Affleck literally feels like Seth MacFarlane in that movie. So it's just But yeah, Paul Schrader.
Oh yeah, Paul Schrader. Really, he's when you watch a Paul Schrader movie, you're this is a Paul Schrader movie, which I do like in my directors. He has a big, directing voice.
Particularly this one compared to the next one, definitely kind of follows the rough formula that is present in Taxi Driver. Because that movie's spoilers for this, obviously, but. And I guess Taxi Driver, if you haven't seen that. But both movies are about kind of an unhinged character who is kind of unsatisfied with their position in life. And by the end of the movie, they kind of go on an unhinged shooting.
Yeah. Well, this one he takes a gun because he knows people are going to hurt him. While Taxi Driver's I'm going to go murder people.
Yeah. And I think that in both cases, you could find the line of justification. Underage prostitution and Taxi Driver, and more of a self-defense murder revenge in this one. So it's I think this
movie is, while the main character is sleazy, I think it's what's surprising is out of Paul Schrader's main characters, he's one of the most easiest to align yourself with.
Yeah.
Especially because you find out later, he's sending a woman money. You're what is that for? And then you find out later, he's hey, can you call my sister? I worry about her. He's he's been sending money to his sister this whole time. Yeah. That's why he has no money. He spends, he's actually kind of a good guy.
Yeah, he's not a Travis Bickle. He's a lot more nuanced and real feeling. He's not just some random, complete social isolated guy. He's got connections. Although I think a big part of what this movie is trying to talk about is the connections you form with people. Because there's a couple lines, particularly when he's talking with Susan Sarandon, where he's talking about she's oh, are you really gonna come see me? And she puts on sunglasses, and I'd have to really watch it again and take notes, but I think that's a big part of what the thematic underbelly of the movie is trying to get at. Mm-hmm. But
as a simple little synopsis to this movie, Willem Dafoe plays this dude who is a drug dealer. He gets all his drugs from his boss / maybe love interest at one point. He's pretty infatuated with her, played by Susan Sarandon. She provides him with all the drugs and the clients, and he pretty much just delivers. He works for her. And he she is planning to stop selling drugs and move and start a cosmetics business or something. Yeah. And she wants to bring her, like, her other underling, pretty much the other, like, equivalent of Willem Dafoe, like the other runner.
Yeah. Bill.
Yeah.
I think that was his character.
Something like that. It might have been Robert.
It might have been Robert, yeah. It was an extremely generic name.
Lots of really generic names in these movies. Like, the second one is just real people, though.
Yeah.
Like Bob and John.
Yeah.
But she never says, like, hey, do you want to come with us? So he's, like, lost. He's figuring out what he wants to do. He's, like, seeing psychics. He's, like, seeing therapists. But he runs into his ex, pretty much, who he hasn't seen in 4 years. And they kind of go in a downward spiral. Her mother's not doing well. She's in the hospital. They have sex. While they're having sex, her mother dies, while she's not there.
So she declares him a bad omen and basically just wants to be rid of him.
And she then throws herself back into drugs, even though she's been clean for, like, years. And she is either kills herself or is thrown off the building by an evil German man.
Yeah.
She's probably thrown off the building by an evil German man.
I don't know.
He was kind of sus.
He was sus. I don't think he was not sus. But also, she had kind of been going through it, and she saw him and immediately jumped out the window. So.
Yeah, no, that's right. I think the idea that it could go either way, it's
definitely left open to interpretation.
And he goes to this hotel, to this person that he's been supplying the drugs with, and they get into a shootout, and he kills everyone. He gets shot a couple times, and then he goes to prison
for maybe 7 years.
Yeah. But yeah, I think there's this thing, and they specifically say it in the movie where it's like you can't like keep going back to your like drinking buddies. You can't keep going back to the people you were around when you were drunk and just be fine, not become a drunk again. And he's like, he says he's clean. And do we see him do drugs in the movie?
We don't.
Okay. So, like, he could be clean, but the idea that he's still around these drugs, he's still around these people.
His behavior's not clean.
Yeah, he's constantly, like, acting erratic, but also just, like, the idea that he's around these people is making his life worse. And he sees his ex, and she goes to him, and she dies because of it. Or you could argue she dies because of it.
Yeah, from a certain perspective. Yeah. But obviously, most people probably wouldn't assign the blame to him.
Yeah, I don't think it's his fault, but because of her association with him, she goes with him, her mother dies, so she's like, oh, it's all my fault. And then she goes back to drugs. And then she sees him again, and she realizes, like, wow, what the fuck was wrong with me? And she, killed herself. It's a downer. It's a downer movie.
It's real, though.
But I think I really liked this movie. I thought it was really good.
Yeah. I'd have to, like, rewatch Taxi Driver again, but I'd probably say, like, out of what I've seen of Paul Schrader's work, this is probably my favorite.
I think that I think it takes just a tiny bit to, like, kind of get rolling. I think the first, like, 30 minutes is real, just moping around, just walking around. I think it took me a little to latch on to the characters. But I think the movie looks great. I like it. It looks like everything looks awful, but in a good way. Like, the city is full of garbage. And especially, I don't know if it was intentional, but it seemed like anytime there was a drug-related scene, you would walk outside and the city would be full of garbage. And when he wasn't, like, talking about drugs, when he was just, like, out at a diner or doing, like, stuff, the city would look better.
I didn't notice that, but...
No. Like, not the best, because it's a shitty city, but...
Yeah.
But overall, I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it had a lot, like, of thematic undertones that were fun to watch, but it was just, like, entertaining as well. I think Willem Dafoe was fantastic. I thought he was really good in both these movies. In the second movie, he has more, like... how dare you do this to me, which was more fun. But
Yeah.
as a more subdued role, I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, no, I really liked him in this role. I honestly didn't realize he was taking like a lot of leading roles at this period of his acting career. I knew he like started acting towards like the early 90s, late 80s, but like...
Well, because he was in Platoon.
That's right. I forgot.
I haven't seen Platoon.
I haven't watched Platoon since I was like 12, but yeah, he does the iconic...
He's like a child.
He does the iconic...
Yeah.
So...
yeah. When did Boondock Saints come out?
That one's like 2002 or something like that. It's a relatively new.
Right around that time, it was just like, I'm going to do autofocus Spider-Man and Boondock Saints.
Yeah, he was...
I want to watch Boondock Saints. He seems like he's really good in that movie. I don't know if you've seen that one.
Yeah, I've seen.
One seems like a dumber movie.
I saw both of them. I've seen the first one a couple times.
Well, I've heard the second one's rough.
I barely remember the second one. But yeah, I'd say his character in Boondock Saints is pretty iconic. He's a pretty memorable character at the very least. But yeah, Boondock Saints is okay from what I remember. I watched it when I was like 12, so it's definitely got like a dark sense of humor. So it's one of those movies that I'd have to like rewatch again to truly gauge whether I think it holds up or not. But I think it'd probably be fine. But maybe not. But yeah. Yeah, I like this one quite a bit.
Yeah, I think, the atmosphere, like the scenario, everything in the movie, it feels lived in, feels real, feels raw, which is nice, especially for the type of movie it is. Mm-hmm. It makes, all the emotional connections have a little more oomph to them. I thought Willem Dafoe and Marianne, the girl who played Marianne, actually had like a lot of chemistry. I thought they like worked, and it was like a really sad type of chemistry. Like, yeah, these people were in love at one point, but it was shrouded in like drugs and just poison to their relationship. Yeah, and a lot of that stuff was like really sad. But she was great. Susan Sarandon's always good. She's classic. Of course. Yeah. Yeah, and I like the songs in it. There was a song in it that played later on that was fucking sick as hell.
I know which one. It's like the one that plays as he's walking in. Right?
Yeah, and then they do like a reprise like right after or something like that. It's just like the same song, but that song, and it's not on anywhere. It's not on Spotify or anything. I was looking for it.
Oh yeah,
and I'm like, this song's so fucking good.
You might be able to find it on YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. I found it on there, but I was like, I want to listen to this like on the car ride. Like that. Yeah, the soundtrack in general is good and it fits the tone. But that song, I was like, holy shit, this song's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I noticed that. I was like, oh shit, like right when things were starting to get to the boiling point in the movie. I was like, oh okay.
And I think all the songs in that movie were by the same guy who was the like composer for the movie.
Oh, that's neat.
I think his name was Michael Bean. But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, I did too. I thought it was pretty good.
If you're in for a downer of a movie, watch this movie. It's good.
You would give it 8 out of 10.
I think I'm at a 7. I think you're at a 7 or an 8.
I'd give it an 8. Okay. I think we'd give it an 8. All right.
Autofocus. Man, I really like Greg Kinnear as well, so I was really pumped for this movie because I think Greg Kinnear is really good at playing like an everyman, and Bob Crane is like. I think it's really interesting because I get if someone watches a movie and thinks Bob Crane as a character is really boring, but I also think he's fascinating. I'm like, this, I really enjoy his, like, idea of a character. I do think, I was reading something about this, where Scotty, who's one of Bob Crane's sons, like, was talking about the movie, and it's like, there's, like, they didn't even meet until later, and I was like, yeah, but it's, like, I don't really care about that stuff. Like, it's a movie, I didn't think this was 100% accurate.
No, definitely not.
But he was like, yeah, my dad wasn't even into S&M stuff, and Paul Schrader's just like, he like responded to him. He's like, no, that was me. I was just writing myself into the movie. I'm like, what the fuck, Paul? I'm like, that's something Paul Schrader would do, though. And that makes sense. Like, he does. It feels like all his protagonists have a little bit of him in it, which is fine. I think.
I think that's unavoidable when you're creating.
But I think he's like, what's nice about that is at least he's conscious of it, like, which is good. If you're not conscious of it, I can feel like it can go way overboard. Yeah,
that's how you get, like, unintentional, like, what's the term I'm looking for? You basically, like, glorify shit unintentionally.
With directors that aren't conscious of their own, like, vices that they put into movies, there's glorification of their own vices, which is like... Okay. So Autofocus is kind of like a biopic of Bob Crane, who is, I guess, famous. Not really anymore, but he was the main character in a show called Hogan's Heroes, which I'd heard a tiny bit about, but I wasn't super familiar. But I told Hina Tay as we watched it, I'm like, this was a real show. And she's like, no fucking way.
Yeah.
Because it does not feel like it could be real. Yeah. And it ran for 6 seasons.
No, yeah, there is that huge uptick. I think Hogan's Heroes probably, like, kick-started it, but, like, there were, like, MASH was, like, another one where it's like, sitcom during a war. And it's like...
Well, Hogan's Heroes was cool. We're in a prisoner of war camp, and one of the main characters is a Nazi general.
I mean, at least it's not Heil Honey, I'm Home.
It's like still the same thing. Not quite.
But yeah. No, I get what you mean.
So, Bob Crane was on this. He was kind of a semi-famous, like, radio host. And he was, like, a drummer, and he did a couple acting gigs. But he got this, like, main TV role for years as the main character in this Hogan's Hero show, where he played a colonel from America who was captured, and he was living in a prisoner of war camp. And he got into funny antics.
Yeah, with their bumbling German,
Nazi general overseer guy. Yeah. Hogan!
Yeah. And I was just like, okay. I've never watched a single fucking episode.
You're very lucky, because I was like, what if I just picked the first season of Hogan's Heroes for the next podcast?
I probably would have watched it, stomached it, and then moved on with my life.
Okay, maybe I need to start picking worse things.
Maybe. Just things that... All right, let's see how long until Thomas breaks. But Hogan's Heroes. Yeah, no. The most I had ever seen of Hogan's Heroes is, like... There's a movie that's in the bag called The Pest that I watched when I was a kid. It's got John Leguizamo.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that movie's really fucking bad.
Yeah, it probably is. I loved it when I was a kid, though, so I'm interested to rewatch it, but I'm sure it's going to be...
Did you like The Stupids as a kid? I can't remember.
Yeah, I did like The Stupids as a kid.
Doesn't ring well for...
I mean, I didn't, watch Pest. The Stupids. I watched it, once.
Oh, The Pest you saw, 100 times.
I had it on VHS, so I watched it at least probably 5 times. So that'll be interesting to revisit. But in a scene in that movie, they're watching Hogan's Heroes on TV. And he does an impression of one of the fucking the big fat German guy. And yeah, I don't know. That's
Clink.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. They don't really explore Hogan's here.
This movie?
They portray it like it's a very repetitive and not even worth your time show.
Yeah.
Which it probably
was. Yeah. But he's famous now and everybody loves him. And he uses that fame to fuel his sex addiction. Mm-hmm. And while he does that, he also meets John Carpenter. Not the filmmaker, but he does make films.
He does.
He sells videotape recorders, and he sells he works for Sony. And he pretty much, him and Bob become friends, and then they start having orgies together. And at one point, Bob has John's hand on his butt and freaks out about it.
He was fingering his asshole.
So what? It's an orgy.
I understand kind of.
How do you have an orgy and not expect some dude-on-dude action.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of fair. We clearly aren't privy to the situation. I mean, I'm consent all the way, so it's just like, I don't know.
All right, Thomas, turn off the light.
I don't take gambles on like, well, we're in an orgy. I don't know if this guy would be comfortable with me fingering his asshole, so I'm just gonna...
I mean, if you're comfortable with him filming you all the time...
That's true.
You know, it's just I think John Carpenter was perfectly justified in thinking that would be okay in that scenario if they're having sex on top of each other pretty much with women and like switching partners. It's just...
Yeah, maybe. Although while I don't like necessarily agree with someone being like, yeah, I'm straight, but I'm willing to like, oh, cat's really going on. Have, sex with like another guy in like an orgy situation, but like, there's a lot of fucking people who, like, this is like a big common quote, and whenever it gets referenced in like a fucking sitcom, it's like, alright, but no sword crossing, like that sort of a mentality.
Yeah, just have sex with one person.
Yeah, it's just right.
But, and it's not, like, if he freaks out and that's the end of it, it's fine. But, like, for the rest of the movie, he's, like, homophobic and just a jerk to him. And Bob Crane is a dickhead. Like, for his sex addiction takes over his life. His wife divorces him. He marries one of his co-stars. They have a child. They eventually get divorced because he cannot stop having sex with people. And yeah, his life's pretty much just ruined by this. And he throws away all his, like, good gigs. He throws away his friendships. And he eventually pretty much throws away his friendship with John Carpenter, who has latched onto him, like, very severely. And the movie and life implies that John Carpenter kills him.
Yeah, it seems very...
It was never proven, but Paul Schrader, the way he films it, seems like he's like, no, he did it.
Well, I know that they said, like, I read a little bit about it, and they said, like, they found his blood in his car and stuff like that, but, like, DNA testing...
Who doesn't have people's blood in each other's car, you know?
I mean, I'd like to think I don't have...
You don't have my blood in your car?
I don't think so.
Fuck? Are you even friends?
I don't know if that's on the checklist for healthy friends.
That's the first bullet point.
Yeah, I have to bleed in your car.
But yeah, so that's the main premise of the movie. I also really like this movie. Mm. I really like the tonal shift and the slow tonal shift. Like, as Bob Crane's life gets worse and worse and his sex addiction gets worse and worse, it starts being framed as more of like a horror movie. Mm. Like, with the tone, like the way it's shot. It switched to shaky cam a lot of the time. It has a lot of like more like diluted and dull color palettes, a lot of darker like undertones. And the soundtrack is literally just like...
There's a couple like horror scenes all in the style of like... Obviously this is before Eternal Sunshine, but it reminded me of some of the scenes in Eternal Sunshine.
He starts having like visions of himself as well.
He'll be on set and then he'll imagine like he's actually like in the set.
He's Hogan,
and then he's confessing his true life's demons and shit like that, and then he'll like snap back and like, hey, you okay? You were like disassociating. Like,
no, I'm fine.
Yeah, let's pick up where we left off. And there's another scene later on when things continue descending where like wakes up in the middle of the night and his TV's playing, and then like an ominous quote from Hogan's Heroes comes on and he's like something about hiding shit. It's like, oh, I got a lot of shit to hide. Apparently not very well, because apparently he showed like these pictures and shit to like a lot of people that he worked with, including that they name the one that he was on like a show for like they mention it in the movie, like, oh, I was on this show for like 6 years, but that was part-time. It's like when he's first talking about doing Hogan's Heroes and taking on the main character role. I don't remember.
Oh, yeah.
Like Ava Rose or something like that. Like,
yeah, I don't remember what he says.
Yeah, but
yeah. I think the movie looks worse because it seems like, I don't know if they were shooting on digital in this.
It seems like they were. I guess digital was back and forth, but for 2002, it doesn't seem like bad.
Yeah, I will say that I think a lot of directors from this era really fumbled, like, switching to digital, especially, like, more niche directors. Like, big budget directors seemed fine because they could hire these big, like, great filmographers. But I think Paul Schrader was decently smooth. I still think this movie looks pretty decent.
I almost wonder if Schrader, like, was an advocate for... Because obviously, like, a lot of directors had their heads up their ass. Like, it's like the Boogie Nights thing where it's like, I won't shoot on video because I don't want to get with the times. Film is film. And it'll stay that way, kind of a thing. So, like, there's a similar mindset in the industry when digital came along. But this movie's very much about being ahead of the curve because, like, it starts in the 60s and he's like, yeah, this is going to be big in, like, a few years. I got, like, this... It's video here, and before even the hard shells.
Yeah, like, in the 70s, they're like, look at this. We can set a timer and we'll film it later. I was like, whoa, TiVo.
Yeah, cool. Let's not bring that up again. So it's kind of interesting that was in the movie. So I wonder if, like, that's just his personal philosophy on stuff. He was one of those who was just willing to, like, experiment with digital in a decent way, competent way, but
yeah, I think this one also has a lot of interesting themes. I like that Bob Crane is a character and I guess as a person, he, like, seemed to have a decently well-paying gig and it was steady income and he somewhat liked it, but then, like, as soon as an opportunity came up was Hogan's Heroes. At first he's like, no, it's a TV show, and then he's like, it's a Nazi TV show, like, it's literally about World War II. He's like, but he immediately sells out, because he knows this is his opportunity. He's like, no, it's funny, but that's it. It doesn't seem so. But even if it was, like, this, how funny could it be? And yeah, I just think that's an interesting, like, thing to, like, talk about in a character, because he's especially a protagonist, because it's like you want to feel sorry for this guy, and he is, like, ruining his life, and that's sad. Like, he has an addiction, regardless of, it's the, like, you addicted to drugs, addicted to sex, that is still an addiction that needs, like, help. That is still something that needs to be helped. But there's, especially in the 70s, there's no one to help him, really. Like, he talks to his priest, and he's like, oh, let's just play in a band together. It's like, that's not helpful. You need to go see, like, professional help. But there's no professional help, especially because he is this bigger star now, so everyone's being a yes man towards him.
And also the fact that, like, I mean, he wouldn't struggle with this because obviously he's a TV star, but, like, oftentimes, like, getting professional help can
cost a shit ton of money.
So like,
but and then later on, he is, like, especially later on, is like when it seems like maybe he would want to make a change. He doesn't want to. He thinks everyone's after him. Mm-hmm. His, like, ex-wives want, like, his money, fairly so. Like, I'm not disagreeing with that, but he's now on a tighter budget. He's not getting any roles because he's a sex fiend and everyone knows it. So yeah, it's just I didn't know anything about Bob Crane, and I think. Yeah, this is very interesting.
I knew he was murdered, but that was about, and he was on Hogan's Heroes. But that was about.
And I think John Carpenter's also an interesting, like, character and I guess person. I don't know much about him as a person, but I really like the back and forth between them. They're kind of both despicable, but, like, Bob Crane is, like, outwardly despicable, and John Carpenter is more like a sniveling, like he's following his orders, because they're both doing, like, sex crimes. Like, you're filming people without their knowledge,
Yeah. Which
you're using your power to seduce people.
I don't know how accurate this is, but apparently Bob Crane's son came out and was like, No. Like, everybody he filmed, it was, like, consenting, which maybe.
But that's a lot of people.
But yeah, if I had to guess, I'd probably guess not. But
yeah, apparently another thing was he was, like, chronicling his sex stuff, like, way before he met John Carpenter, and that was more of a thing for the movie. But I think for a movie scenario, it's a better, like, structure thing. It makes sense with
the story they're trying to tell here. Oh. Yeah, not every thing needs to be 100% accurate. I realize that there are a lot of fucking, like, people who won't look into this kind of stuff and realize, like, the differences, but that's why you just You don't take movies as facts.
But I also think that, like, thematically and, like, the gist of it, I think, is accurate enough.
It captures the spirit of what happened, for sure.
Oh. I don't know. What did you think of the movie overall? Did you like it? Did you?
I did like it. I definitely liked it less than I liked...
Light Sleeper?
I keep wanting to say Sleepless in Seattle. I'm like, we did not watch Sleepless in Seattle. Light Sleeper.
Light Sleep in Seattle.
Light Sleeper in Seattle. I definitely did like it, though. It felt like a less zany Naked Lunch. Where
I do think the structuring, I don't know what, I couldn't sink my teeth in a Naked Lunch. I remember that.
With Naked Lunch, I had to do a lot of like follow up. Like I'm like, all right, clearly this isn't an adaptation of the book, and it's more of a meta commentary on the author's life and experience that happened in his life. So it's like I had to like look into that, and even then, it still felt very weird because it was like fused with things that I think happen. I haven't read Naked Lunch, so I don't know. But it's like, it's a strange and surreal experience that movie is.
Yeah.
And I can see why people like it. It might be a movie that were to grow on me.
I don't doubt that there is a chance that I'll like it later on.
But yeah, no, this one, aside from a couple of those like kind of delusional scenes, which are very tame. Very tame. Not anything like Naked Lunch. It
does definitely. The first one definitely was like, what the fuck? Just because, like, it was very out of character for the movie itself, which I thought was good, good thing. But it definitely, as like dream nightmare sequences, it wasn't like revolting or horrifying.
No, it literally.
I thought it was effective.
Yeah, it's like nothing surreal happened. It's just that he's in a room and they change the filter. The characters kind of talk at him like this. So it's like one of those. It's not like a little worm like pops out of someone's asshole and is like, hi! Yeah, hello there! It's not like that. But yeah. I like this one quite a bit. I think it works quite well, and I like these types of like dark Hollywood movies. I really want to watch Hollywoodland, I think it's called, which is the one where Ben Affleck plays George Reeve, who played Superman on the old TV series, and he was like murdered or committed suicide. It's really unclear, but that's like another movie kind of this genre that I want to check out. But I liked it. Thought it was pretty decent.
Cool. I think you'll give this one a 6 or a 7.
I think I'd probably give it a 7. I think you would give it a 7.
I'll give this one an 8.
Oh.
I like it, so we're just slipped. Yeah. Overall, I really enjoyed these movies.
Paul Schrader's a good filmmaker.
I think Card Counter's overall good. I think that one you should check out when you have time. It has some good parts.
Yeah, I've been meaning to check out that one and the fucking other Oscar Isaac one he did that was big. The Llewyn Davis one or whatever.
That's not Paul Schrader. Inside Llewyn Davis?
Yeah, I was Oscar Isaac specific.
Oh, I was like, the way you said it, I thought you were saying Paul Schrader, Oscar Isaac. Like, what?
No. Yeah, I've been meaning to check both of them.
However, I don't know if I want to watch The Card Counter now for a while because Tiffany Haddish is in it, and apparently there's some child sex crimes going on, allegations, like real bad stuff. I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't hear about it until 2 days ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's
it's bad. Yeah.
God damn it! I didn't even get a chance to enjoy Tuca and Birdie season 2 before I found that out.
Is Tiffany Haddish in Tuca and Birdie?
Yeah, she's Tuca.
No, I haven't seen Tuca or Birdie.
Well, now I guess I'll
keep you posted. I guess, but
God damn,
that's going on. Okay, so we're gonna do a deep dive tomorrow. Well, next week. I'll give you 2 options here. Okay. We can watch 6 movies, or we can watch 1.
Is the one the Holocaust movie?
No.
Okay. Is it... How long is the one?
It's 7 hours.
Is it accessible? Will I be able to find it easily?
It was just on the Criterion channel. I think it just left, but because it was on there, I'm sure you can find it somewhere.
Okay.
The 6 are action movies. I'll just tell you. We can watch the Mission Impossible movies, or you can watch Satan Tango, I think it's called, which is by Bella Tarr.
Is that the Bahubali guy?
No. He did like the Turin Horse, Wreckmeister Harmonies. If you've heard of any of those.
Let's go with that one.
The 7 hour one?
Why not?
Cool. Satan Tango. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Wait, let me see the poster for that. Oh yeah, I've seen that like floating around.
Cool. Real cinephile hours, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's watch a 7 hour movie.
Yeah. Is it an actual movie or is it like Ingmar Bergman's?
No, it's a movie.
And
I'm pretty sure it's a movie. Let me double check.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, I love Ingmar Bergman, but that's my one critique of Scenes from a Marriage is that, and fucking Feigning Alexander, is that they're not movies, they're miniseries. But it's like, they're movies. Come on. Don't kid yourself.
It's a movie. And it's shot in black and white and runs more than 7 hours.
I mean...
And it's about, like... I don't know, the effects of... the effects of the Cold War on a small Hungarian village. It really sounds like a real
You should watch this
movie.
one with Pierre.
I'm not going to watch this one. I'm probably going to drop Pierre off at work on Thursday, watch this movie, and by the time I'm done with it, I will go pick up Pierre.
There you go. Perfect. Yeah. All right.
So yeah, we're going to talk about that next week. So, thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time.